The poisoned toast. I knew something was wrong the second my mother handed me the wine glass. It wasn't the smile. Elizabeth Harrow always smiled like that, stretched tight and polished like a porcelain mask. It wasn't even the way her eyes lingered on me a second too long, calculating. It was the smell. Beneath the familiar bouquet of oak and cherry, there was something bitter, sharp, medicinal. It was supposed to be a toast. Just family. Just celebration. Just another lie. So I did what any daughter of Elizabeth Harrow would do. I smiled back, raised the glass to my lips, and in a flash, I swapped it with the one in my sister's hand. Allegra didn't notice. She never does. She sipped it, and I watched, waiting, heart pounding like I just lit a fuse under my own life. But nothing happened. Not then, not 5 minutes later, not even an hour later. And that's when I realized she knew I'd switched the glass. I'm Cameron Harrow, 31, investigative journalist. Based in New York, raised in Connecticut high society, currently engaged to the only man my mother ever disapproved of, which made me love him more. I've spent a career exposing corporate fraud and political cover-ups, but nothing prepared me for what it would take to survive my own family. This wasn't just about a toxic mother. This was war. Let me take you back, not all the way, just far enough to understand how I ended up standing under a baccarat chandelier at a party I never wanted, wearing a white silk dress my mother chose for me, waiting for someone to drop dead. Because that was the plan. The engagement party was supposed to be simple. Nathan and I wanted something small, intimate, a rooftop in Soho, a jazz quartet. My mother insisted on something timeless, which in her vocabulary meant a historic estate in the Connecticut countryside, valet parking, 5-course plated dinner, and a guest list that included every person she'd ever wanted to impress. When we arrived, I could already feel her fingerprints on everything. Crystal place settings, gilded chairs, champagne pyramids. Allegra floated across the room in powder blue chiffon, the very picture of obedient elegance. My father, Theodore Harrow, stood beside the fireplace, scotch in hand, looking like he wished he were somewhere else. That made 2 of us. Then she approached. "Darling," she cooed, presenting the wine like it was a holy relic. "Something special just for you. I remembered you get migraines from champagne. I don't. I never have." But she said it loud enough for the surrounding guests to hear, planting the seed. Always the manipulator. That was when instinct kicked in. Years of therapy, distance, and denial burned away in one breath. My mother was capable of cruelty, yes, but poison? I never imagined she'd go that far. Or maybe I had. Maybe I'd always known something like this would happen. What I didn't expect was nothing. Allegra laughed, kissed someone on the cheek, whispered to her husband about the wine's interesting aftertaste. No collapse, no foaming at the mouth, no dramatic fainting, just silence, elegance, control, too much control. It hit me all at once. This wasn't her first move. It was her first countermove. I had been played. But why the setup? Why risk this scene if she didn't intend to go through with it? Was it a test, a warning, a demonstration? And if she knew I'd switched the glasses, then what the hell had she actually planned for me? I scanned the room. The caterers, the staff. My phone was buzzing. Probably Madison, my editor. I didn't dare look. Not here. Because if there's one thing I've learned from watching my mother, it's that nothing is ever accidental. She doesn't have spontaneous thoughts. She scripts them. What had I missed? "Are you all right?" Nathan whispered, appearing beside me like a lifeline. His hand found the small of my back, grounding me. I nodded too quickly. Fine. Just a lot of people. He didn't believe me. He never does, which is why I love him. But he knows better than to push in public. Not in her territory. And then came the toast. She rang the bell with that delicate silver sound she loves. The room hushed. The string quartet stilled. My father stood straighter. Elizabeth Harrow raised her flute. "To Cameron and Nathan," she said, beaming, "may their love be stronger than their tempers and their future more stable than their ambitions." Laughter, polite, confused, masked, but I knew that wasn't a toast. That was a shot fired. She turned to me, eyes glittering like the diamonds at her throat. "Drink up, darling." I didn't, and that was my second mistake. The first was assuming I had control of the game. But something else happened that night, something I didn't realize until the next morning when a photo from the party surfaced in my inbox from an anonymous email. A blurry image. The catering staff, a tray of wine glasses, A hand my mother's slipping something under the tablecloth. No message, no context. Just a reminder, this isn't over. But who sent it? And if that wasn't poison in the wine, then what had she really planned? The woman who trained me. I don't sleep that night. Nathan breathes steadily beside me, oblivious to the storm gathering in my chest. I lie awake, watching shadows crawl across the ceiling of our Brooklyn apartment. That image from the email loops in my head. The hand, the tray, the timing. It had to be her, but why send me the evidence? And why now? At 3:27 a.m., I get up, slip into the living room, and pull out my old investigative toolkit, a burner laptop, a VPN, and a folder labeled Elizabeth Harrow that I swore I'd never reopen. But here I am again, haunted by the woman who taught me to read subtext before I could read books. By 5 a.m., I've confirmed the sender's IP was masked. Military-grade masking. Someone wants me to know, but not know who. That's how this game works, and I know this game because I learned it from her. Growing up, I thought my mother was brilliant, not because she had degrees or titles, though she did, but because she could make anyone believe anything. She once convinced a teacher I had plagiarized a paper that I had written by hand, just to punish me for turning it in late. She could rewrite reality with her words. And now, she's turned that gift into a weapon. I tell Nathan about the photo over breakfast. He listens quietly, stirring his coffee, his gaze never leaving mine. Do you think she's escalating? I think she's testing me, I reply. She's daring me to react. And you're going to? I already did, I say, pushing my phone toward him. I booked a flight. I'm going to New Canaan. Back to the lion's den. 2 days later, I'm standing in the driveway of the Harrow estate. White stone, black shutters, a lawn clipped to military precision. The house where I learned not to cry. The house where Allegra was adored and I was trained. The door opens before I knock. Of course, she's already watching. Cameron, she says, smiling like she's won something. What a surprise. We play the script. She pretends to be delighted. I pretend I'm just dropping in. We both know better. Inside, she leads me to the sunroom, offers tea I won't drink, and waits for me to speak. But I won't. Silence unnerves her. It gives me power. She breaks first. You've been quiet since the party, she says, swirling her spoon. Is everything all right? What was in the wine, Mom? She lifts her gaze slowly. No flinch. No reaction. I'm not sure what you mean. You handed me a glass you said was special. I swapped it, and you knew I would. So I'm asking, what was really in it? Why would you think there was anything in it? Because someone sent me proof. Because you raised me to see traps where others see hospitality, because I know you. But I don't say any of that. Instead, I lean forward, lower my voice. Because you're slipping, and someone wants me to see it. Her eyes flicker, just a twitch, but I see it. Fear? No. Surprise, which is worse, because it means there's someone else in the game, and I don't know who. Later that evening, I go through the guest list. I cross-reference every attendee at the party, check their social media, email leaks, previous affiliations. It takes hours, and I find nothing, until I get a call from Madison, my editor, my best friend, one of the only people who knows everything. You remember Vincent Young? She asks. I do. Lawyer. Specialized in corporate liability. Once dated my mom's friend Susan. Always too friendly with Allegra. Creeped me out. He filed a private court petition 2 weeks ago, Madison says. It was sealed, but my source cracked it. It's about you. What kind of petition? Conservatorship. I go still. He's claiming you're mentally unfit, she adds. Guess who submitted a letter of support? I already know the answer. Elizabeth. Suddenly, it all clicks. The wine wasn't meant to kill. It was meant to disorient, cause a scene, a breakdown, something public, something she could use to prove I'm unstable. But I flipped the script too soon. Switched the glass, stole her moment. She didn't fail. I ruined the act. She's not slipping. She's improving. Now she's not just attacking me socially, she's going after my legal agency. That night, I break into my childhood bedroom. I know the code, 6312. My birthday reversed. It's still the same. Inside, everything's preserved like a museum. The ballet slippers I never wore, the trophies for debates I hated, the journal I kept at 15, still in the drawer, still unlocked, except something's missing. My old hard drive, where I kept all my college photos, my therapy notes, my audio logs, my dreams, my breakdowns, gone. She took it, and if she has it, she can twist it. turn it into evidence of my instability. This isn't a battle anymore. It's an ambush, and I just walked in smiling. But she's not the only one who knows how to manipulate truth. She taught me well, too well. Time to weaponize what she built. But first, who the hell sent that email? Was it Allegra? Dad? Someone else? And if someone else is watching, are they on my side or hers? Revenge bites back. I once believed the truth was enough, that exposing facts, presenting evidence, shining a light would set things right. But that belief belongs to a younger Cameron Harrow, a girl who hadn't yet tried to take down Elizabeth. Because the truth can be drowned out, rewritten, dismissed as delusion, if the person you're fighting is better at lying than most people are at breathing. And my mother has been lying since before I was born. I sit across from my father in his dark-paneled study, the air thick with silent guilt. His hands tremble slightly around his glass of scotch. I slide a folder across the desk. Inside, the sealed court petition, the letter from Vincent Young, my mother's sworn statement that I'm unstable, erratic, dangerous. He doesn't open it. He just sighs. I didn't know she was taking it that far, he mutters. You didn't want to know. His silence confirms it. I want to scream. Want to ask how he could stay married to a woman who's trying to destroy her daughter. But I know the answer. Because it's easier to love a mask than to confront the face beneath. Still, I push forward. She's trying to take away my autonomy, I say, and you're letting her. I'm not letting anything. She's staging a psychological takedown, Dad, and if she wins, she won't stop. She'll erase me. He finally opens the file. His eyes scan the page. He blinks, and then quietly says, I'll speak to Vincent. Don't, I snap. He already chose a side. So I build my own. I call in every favor I've earned as a journalist. Hackers, analysts, whisperers. Madison helps me file a counter-motion preemptively in case her petition moves forward. I prepare to go public if necessary. If she wants war in the dark, I'll drag her into the daylight. But then the first twist hits me like a punch to the ribs. The backup drive I stored in my Chicago safe deposit box, the one I told no one about, wiped clean, no break-in, no security alerts, just gone. I demand the bank review footage. It takes hours. Finally, grainy security video appears. A woman in a black trench coat, wide-brimmed hat, large sunglasses. She doesn't look like my mother, but her gait, her posture, it's Allegra, the same sister I thought was innocent, who I saved with a swapped glass, who smiled and cried and held my hand in the hospital. Why would she do that? Why now? Was she ever on my side? I fly back to New York, head spinning with betrayal and disbelief. Madison picks me up from the airport. She watches me crumble into the passenger seat and says quietly, it gets worse. My body tenses. How? There's a podcast. Dropped last night, anonymous host. Claims you faked the wine swap for attention. That you've always had meltdowns around your mother. That Nathan is reconsidering the engagement. What? My voice cracks. She pulls out her phone, hits play. And that's what's so tragic about Cameron. Brilliant, yes. Beautiful, absolutely. But deeply, deeply broken. Her mother's just trying to protect her from herself. The voice isn't familiar, but the words are rehearsed, scripted, weaponized. And that's when I realized this wasn't just a misfire. It was a setup. I walked into her plan, thinking I was outmaneuvering her, when really, I was performing exactly as she wanted me to. I was becoming the unstable daughter in the public eye. I've played right into her story arc. Now I'm losing control of the narrative. And worse, of Nathan. Because when I get home, he's not there. No note, no text, just silence. I call, voicemail, again, nothing. He finally texts, I need time to think. That's when I fall apart. For the first time in years, I cry. Not elegant tears, not silent weeping, but raw, ugly sobs that come from being betrayed by your blood and watched it poison everything you built. Was this what she wanted? Not to kill me, not to imprison me, but to isolate me. So I'd fall apart alone. And if I crumble, if I spiral, the conservatorship becomes justified. The whispers become proof. The podcast becomes prophecy. How do you fight an enemy who doesn't attack you physically, but warps how the world sees you? The answer, I decide, is not alone. So I call Madison again, and then I do something I never thought I would. I reach out to an old contact from an expose I did 3 years ago, Clara Vele, a former PR fixer for corrupt politicians who turned whistleblower. She answers on the second ring. I was wondering when you'd call, she says. her voice like gravel and whiskey. I need help. I know. I've been watching. I sit up straighter. Wait, did you send me the photo from the party? Pause. Then, no, but I know who did. Who? A beat. You're not going to like the answer. Try me. It was Allegra. I go still. No, I whisper. That doesn't make sense. She destroyed my backup drive. She's not working with your mother, Clara interrupts. She's playing both of you. My stomach flips. She's trying to take control of the family trust, Clara continues. If you get declared mentally unfit and Elizabeth is discredited by scandal, guess who becomes interim trustee? Allegra, the perfect daughter, the safe choice, the one who always stayed close enough to smile, but far enough to never get burned. The wine swap? She was never the victim. She was bait. Trapped in her, I don't sleep for 2 days. The pieces are coming together now, but not in the way I hoped. They're not forming a solution. They're forming a noose. Tightening. Slow. Elegant. Just like her. Elizabeth trained Allegra too. That's the truth I've been avoiding. I wanted to believe my sister was just another casualty of our mother's control. But no. Allegra watched. Learned. Adapted. And now? She's executing a playbook better than either of us ever did. But something still doesn't make sense. If Allegra wanted control, why warn me with the email photo? Why not just let the wine plan unfold? Unless she wanted both of us to burn. I need proof. Something undeniable. I dig deeper into the family trust and discover a disturbing clause. If both Elizabeth and I are declared legally incapacitated, power of attorney transfers to the next of kin with the cleanest psychological record. Allegra. She's playing a long game, a patient game, and I've been reacting while she's been designing. It's time I design something of my own. I reach back out to Clara. Together, we draft a plan. A public counterattack. Something bold, something theatrical. If Allegra and Elizabeth want to use public perception as a weapon, I'll turn that spotlight around. We organize a press event disguised as an art exhibit. Clara knows a curator in Manhattan willing to stage it. The exhibit will feature curated photos from my investigations around the world, stories of justice, resilience, and survival. But the climax? A final room, closed off, with footage from the engagement party, close-ups of my mother's hand under the table, the wine glass swap, the look on her face, all of it edited into a short documentary, narrated by me, with names redacted, until the very last frame. It's risky, could blow back, but the goal isn't to destroy her publicly, it's to force her to act. And she will. Because Elizabeth Harrow doesn't tolerate ambiguity. She strikes first. The night before the exhibit goes live, a story breaks on page 6. Journalist Cameron Harrow under investigation for plagiarizing war crimes footage in Ukraine coverage. I nearly dropped my phone. It's complete fiction, but well crafted. Pulled from a fake whistleblower account, backed by false experts. It's already spreading like wildfire. I call Clara. She's fast, Clara mutters, but sloppy. I trace the post, originated from a device linked to one of Allegra's shell companies. So they're working together now? Not exactly. More like parallel predators. You're the common prey. And that's when the second betrayal hits. Nathan. He's not just distancing. He's gone. His number's disconnected. His email bounces. I try reaching out to his firm. He resigned. No forwarding contact. Vanished. It takes Madison 30 minutes to find him. In Palm Beach. The photo makes my breath stop. They're walking down Worth Avenue. She's in a white sundress. He's carrying her purse, laughing, and her hand is on his chest. This isn't a breakdown. It's a massacre. My life is being unmade piece by piece. I lock myself in my apartment. Clara insists I cancel the exhibit, regroup, but I refuse. Not now. Not after this. The exhibit goes live. It's packed. Press, influencers, colleagues, everyone I've ever tried to impress. And in the last room, the documentary begins. My voice, my story, my mother's hand, the glass, the switch, and then at the very end I say her name, Elizabeth Harrow. The screen fades to black. People are stunned, some confused, others furious. But it doesn't matter, because I finally told the truth. Out loud, on my terms. I step out to face the crowd, and that's when the fire alarm goes off. Sprinklers activate, screaming, chaos. Everyone rushes out. When I return inside, the footage is gone. The drive smashed. The servers burned. It was all destroyed. And somehow I know she did it. Or maybe Allegra, or both. I stand in the ruins of my story, drenched and shivering, while the media speculates whether it was performance art. 2 hours later, I receive an envelope under my door. No return address. Inside, a single photo. Allegra, sitting on a velvet sofa, wearing my engagement ring, with a sticky note across the photo, "You were never the protagonist, just the cautionary tale." I collapse, not because I've lost, but because, for the first time, I'm not sure I can win. How do you fight shadows wearing your own face? How do you outplay women who raised you to never be weak and then turned your strength into proof you were dangerous? Maybe I need to become what they fear most? Maybe I need to stop being Cameron the journalist and become Cameron the liar, the manipulator, the monster. Because if I can't win clean, then I'll burn the whole damn game board. Learning to lie like her. There's a peculiar freedom in deciding to become the villain. Once I made peace with that, the grief dissolved. I stopped crying, stopped flinching, stopped asking why would they do this to me, and started asking the only question that matters now. What do I have that they still want? Because that's leverage, and leverage means control. I start with the thing Allegra covets most, the trust, not the money itself, but the power attached to it, the symbolic crown. If I can't destroy her publicly, I'll dismantle her path to the throne from the inside. First move, get close to her lawyer. That's where Jacob Morley comes in, mid-30s, Harvard Law, tragically handsome in a way that suggests private school shame and unprocessed mommy issues. The kind of man who's loyal to whoever flatters his intellect while stroking his ego. And I'm fluent in both. He knows who I am when I introduce myself at a charity gala in the Hamptons, but pretends he doesn't, which tells me everything. "Cameron, is it?" he says, lips twitching at the corners. "Aren't you the one who allegedly orchestrated that wine stunt?" Allegedly, I repeat, sipping my martini with the kind of practiced smirk that says, "You know I'm dangerous, and you like it." By midnight, I'm in his hotel room. By morning, I'm in his inbox. Within a week, I have access to key files, drafts of Allegra's revised conservatorship plan, internal memos suggesting she knew I'd be at risk if the engagement broke. And then something else, a scanned page from Elizabeth's personal journal. Jacob never meant to send it. I catch it as an accidental attachment, half buried in a PDF binder. But the handwriting is unmistakable. Cameron was always too curious. Curiosity breaks loyalty. Better to tame her or remove her entirely. The date? 6 months before the engagement party. 6 months. She wasn't reacting to my engagement. She was pre-planning, engineering. I stare at that sentence for 10 minutes, then I send it to Madison. "I'm going to leak it," she says instantly. No, not yet. Because I finally see it clearly. Every time I act out of emotion, they win. Allegra and Elizabeth feed off chaos. They don't survive it, they weaponize it. So I have to stay cold. I have to become what they think I already am. Unhinged, manipulative, unpredictable. Except this time, on purpose. I vanish for a month. Go off-grid, fake a breakdown. I let whispers grow, let the podcast host speculate, let Elizabeth believe she's won. Allegra too. Let them grow overconfident. Meanwhile, I travel under a new name. Clara helps me pull records, forge paper trails, trace back every transaction Allegra made through her shell LLCs. And there, hidden deep in a Cayman account, we find it. A transfer. $2.5 million. Paid to Morrison Medical Consultancy, the same group Elizabeth used during her previous psychiatric referral years ago when she wanted to forcibly commit a distant cousin. A note in the ledger. Pre-authorization for emergency evaluation of CH, authorization pending. They were planning to involuntarily institutionalize me. They still are. So I flip the script again. I send a lawyer of my own to Morrison Medical. But this time, they represent Allegra. A forged packet of documents, carefully doctored reports, psychological assessments alleging her as the unstable one. Overspending, narcissistic behavior, latent sociopathic traits. It's not ethical, it's not fair, but neither is war. By the time I reappear in New York, blonde wig, tailored white pantsuit, perfect manicure, Elizabeth is already in a panic. Clara's embedded source in her household sends me a voice memo of her shouting over the phone. She's supposed to be broken. She's not supposed to be smiling. That's the thing about people like her. They don't fear being hated. They fear being irrelevant. So I give her what she dreads. I go to the press, not to attack, but to shine. A profile spread in Modern Women Weekly, a clean, poised story about resilience, boundaries, and recovery. No mention of lawsuits, no tears, just power. I let the world fall back in love with Cameron Harrow. And then, right as the issue hits stands, I send Elizabeth a handwritten invitation to my wedding, a private ceremony, just 20 guests. Very exclusive, she'll never resist. But it's not a real wedding. It's bait, a stage, the perfect setting for a public undoing. And she walks right into it, dressed in Valentino, pearls sharp as teeth, a new man on her arm. Nathan is there too, sheepish, confused. Allegra flanks him like a trophy. I keep my cool, smile, play the doting bride, until I step onto the platform with the mic. Before we begin, I say sweetly, there's someone very special I want to thank. A woman who taught me poise, grace, and how to disguise poison as love. The crowd shifts. My mother blinks. So does Allegra. I continue. She taught me that appearances are everything, and that the truth, if not handled correctly, can be just as dangerous as a lie. I nod to the screen behind me. A projector flickers on, and then the footage begins. Not the party, not the wine, but a compilation. Secret audio from Jacob, footage of Elizabeth meeting with Morrison Medical, bank records, altered reports, diary scans, every shred of evidence I've collected. No narration, no edits. Just truth. Raw, brutal, undeniable. Allegra gasps. Elizabeth stands. I raise my voice. And now that everyone sees what I've survived, this isn't a wedding. It's a funeral for the illusion of who you pretended to be. The room erupts. Gasps, murmurs. People stand. Some start filming. Elizabeth rushes the stage, but security blocks her. "This is slander," she screams. "No, Mother," I say calmly. "It's a reckoning." It's the bait she couldn't resist. Elizabeth doesn't scream like normal people. Her voice doesn't crack. She doesn't thrash. No, she implodes in slow motion. First the tightening of her jaw, then the flash of her eyes, and finally the venom she's always reserved for private detonations, unleashed in public. "You ungrateful little bitch," she hisses through her teeth. "You don't deserve my name." "Then I'll be happy to give it back," I whisper into the mic. Gasps ripple through the guests. This is no longer a party. It's a war zone with white tablecloths and champagne glasses clinking in disbelief. Nathan tries to approach the stage. Whether to comfort me or control the damage, I don't know. But Allegra grabs his arm, nails digging into his sleeve. Her mask has started to slip too. I see it in her eyes. Panic. For the first time, they're off script. And I have them exactly where I want them, or at least I thought I did. Until the screen flickers and the video cuts. Black, then static, then a completely different video starts playing. A recording of me, 6 months ago, in my apartment, crying, talking into a camera. I just feel like I'm losing it, like I'm paranoid all the time, like maybe it is me. My breath catches. No. No. More clips follow. Disjointed, edited to sound incoherent, manic. I can't sleep, they're always watching. I just want to disappear. The room turns. A few people glance at Elizabeth, but more of them, they're looking at me. Whispers begin to swirl. Was she faking this whole thing? Is she really unstable? Oh my God, this is so sad. I freeze, heart racing. Clara darts to the tech booth, shouting at the AV team. They're just as shocked. The drive was swapped, sabotaged. Someone got into our system. Someone knew our move. They planned a countermove. My ears ring. My throat tightens. Elizabeth just smiles. Not with her mouth. No, that's too obvious. She smiles with her eyes. This was her insurance, her trapdoor, her final twist of the knife. And it worked. But that's not what breaks me. What breaks me is the voice behind me, soft, familiar. You used me. You used me. It's Nathan. His eyes are wounded, furious. You used our relationship to stage your little revenge fantasy? No, I breathe. Nathan, you don't understand. He holds up a phone, on it a screen grab of a text, from me to Clara, discussing the fake wedding plan, calling Nathan a symbolic prop. It's real, but out of context. God, Allegra. She must have gotten into my old cloud backups. Don't contact me again, he says coldly. You need help. And then he walks out. The crowd disperses quickly after. The media will eat this alive. A fake wedding, a breakdown. A scandalous family feud that ends in a public humiliation. Elizabeth's favorite outcome. I sit alone on the now empty stage. Clara returns, stone-faced. They hacked us, she says. Replaced the drive last night. Probably someone from catering. We didn't vet the temp hires deep enough. Of course not. Elizabeth doesn't need brute force. She has access. She's the kind of woman who can get to anyone, anything, even the story I thought I controlled. You okay? Clara asks softly. I laugh. It's a brittle, haunted sound. No. But somewhere beneath the shame, the rage, the grief, is fire. Because here's what they don't know. That video? The clips? I planted those months ago. Not the edits. Those were stolen, twisted. But the footage? I created it for therapy, for reflection, and for insurance. Because I knew Elizabeth would try to turn my truth into a weapon. So I made sure every raw file had a digital watermark traceable to its original cloud log. Unalterable. Forensic level encryption. It won't matter tonight. Not tomorrow. But in court, in deposition, it will hold. And more importantly, so will I. Because while Elizabeth wins battles, she plays to destroy. I play to outlast. And Allegra, she made a critical mistake. She chose Nathan as her pawn, forgetting he wasn't the prize. The real prize? The Harrow name, the trust, the legacy. And now, they've both stained it. Permanently. Which means I have all the justification I need to dismantle it. I'm done trying to expose them. Now I'll do worse. I'll erase them. Brick by brick, one legacy clause at a time. And when there's nothing left for them to inherit, nothing left to control, that's when I'll win. Burn the throne, not the queen. People think revenge feels like fire, but the real thing? It's cold, calculated, surgical. That's what I become in the weeks following the disaster that wasn't a wedding. No more theatrics, no more public spectacle, just strategy. Clara helps me draw the battle lines, not around Elizabeth, not anymore. She's a fractured mask, held together by pearls and denial. Her power comes from perception, from money, from the image of the Harrows as an untouchable East Coast dynasty. So I stop trying to expose her. I start pulling out the bricks beneath her throne. First target? The family trust. It was designed to protect the Harrows' legacy, but legacy is just money in makeup. And as it turns out, the bylaws include a long-overlooked clause that allows for redistribution of funds in the event of reputational risk. With help from Clara's legal team, I initiate a review board hearing, submitting all digital proof of misconduct, Allegra's Cayman accounts, Elizabeth's manipulation of psychiatric services, the sabotaged video. And remember those forensic watermarks? They work. Elizabeth's edit of my breakdown video is exposed for what it was, a fabrication, chopped from therapeutic logs and reframed as madness. And when the board cross-checks Allegra's payment to Morrison Medical, the lie unravels completely. By mid-October, both Elizabeth and Allegra are suspended as beneficiaries. Control is frozen. They don't even see it coming until the letters arrive in thick ivory envelopes, no longer Harrow branded. 2 days later, I visit my father. He looks older now, tired, but lighter somehow. You did it, he says quietly. No, I reply, we did. Because he finally filed for divorce. He's living in a one-bedroom walk-up in Brooklyn, learning how to make coffee, learning how to be. And for the first time in my life, we sit together without an audience, without a script. We talk, really talk. And it's not perfect, but it's real. As for Allegra, she tries to spin it. A comeback interview, crocodile tears, blaming Cameron's manipulation for driving a wedge between her and Nathan. But the public's appetite has changed. They're no longer hungry for scandal. They want accountability. And she's fresh out. Her brand deals disappear. Her social media turns quiet. The lifestyle she built off my destruction slowly withers. And she starts selling off assets. Elizabeth? She retreats to a wellness retreat in Vermont, where paparazzi catch her reading books on spiritual awakening while ignoring the court orders piling up at her Connecticut estate. I send her a letter. Not out of kindness, out of closure. You built a house of mirrors and called it family. I spent my life trying to survive inside it. But now I've stepped out. I'm not looking back. You don't get to watch what I build next. No signature, just silence. And finally, Nathan reaches out once, months later, a voicemail I don't return. Cameron, I'm sorry. I think I got caught in something I didn't understand. I hope you're okay. I hope you're happy. I am. Not because I won, but because I stopped needing to. Because I've stopped trying to be understood by people who only understand control. I publish a feature essay with The Atlantic, Unmothered, Growing Up Under Narcissistic Rule, and How I Finally Left the House Without Burning Down the Neighborhood. It goes viral, not for the scandal, but for the honesty. People write to me, strangers mostly, some famous, some not, People who recognize their own mothers in mine, their own sisters in Allegra, their own patterns in my downfall. You gave me language for something I thought I had to survive silently. One message reads, "That one stays with me, because that's what healing is. Not a perfect circle, not some polished ending, just permission to begin again." And so I do. I start again, not as Cameron Harrow, just Cameron. I keep writing, I keep building. And when I finally do walk down the aisle, it's not at some society estate, not under chandeliers. It's on a quiet beach. No family, no guests. Just a man who sees me clearly, loves me cleanly, and knows I'm not a rescue project. I'm a survivor. And I don't toast to revenge. I toast to freedom. The kind you don't inherit, the kind you earn.